Hello, Tolkien geeks, and welcome to Voice of Geekdom, and welcome to the very first live stream that I've ever done on my own channel. It's a very exciting moment for me. I've been waiting to do this for a long time. I swore that I was going to do this when I got to 5K subscribers, and we're just almost there. So I just decided to do it a bit early for Tolkien's birthday. So happy birthday to the professor. I had my drink earlier on at 9 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock here in the UK. It's 11 o'clock for you, isn't it? And Tolkien was 130 today, I think, which means that he equals the old Took, I think. I think that's right.
Yeah, well, that's about the age I feel today, so...
No. Well, you don't look it.
It's just good camera lighting.
I see a lot of people in the chat that I recognize, a few people I don't. Welcome to everybody for showing up. We've got Erin M, my alpha patron. Shout out to Erin, the first patron on my Patreon. Got Guilty Undertaker, Lady Leaf, Matthew Dominique, Jaded Redhead. Shout out to Kelly. She's my unofficial community manager. I think she prefers the term intern, but you know. Doing wonderful work for me on social media. And who else have we got? We've got Samuel Loosman from Sweden. Hello to you.
And you better do betters in the chat. Hello.
Is he?
That's the man with literally, please everybody follow him obviously on TikTok because he's hilarious. He's in our Tolkien YouTuber community. And seriously, I love him. Everything he does is so funny and so cool. Please give him a follow. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's a lovely, charming guy. He's really big on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, follow him on there or follow him on the YouTube. He does sort of shorts on YouTube. I'm a fan. I enjoy his style and his sort of straightforward delivery. I want to get him on the channel at some point, but we'll talk. We have had one face-to-face conversation. I accidentally called him on Instagram one day.
You said so. That's so cool.
So we had a whole chat, and it was just like, oh, this is unusual. I invited him into our YouTube group.
I know, and he was like, "Who's that weird British person calling me? What is happening?"
It's good to see you. Willie, his name is. So thank you all for coming. And thank you to meine Busenfreundin, Helen, the Clueless Fangirl, for coming through. How are you doing?
Yeah, and let's not translate that because first of all, props to Dan for learning German. So yeah, we're not translating what that would mean, but it makes sense in German and it's not naughty in German, I promise.
No, it sounds like it should be, but Happy New Year.
No, nothing naughty going on. So look, I brought my fancy champagne glass, heritage from great grandparents. So yeah, I thought we were like, isn't that what you do today?
Yeah, I raised my glass earlier. I posted it on Twitter. It was pure wood grain vodka that I was swigging, of course, because I'm just a hard man like that.
Okay. I'm not saying so. This is clear. So this could be vodka. This could be water. Do we know besides tea? What did Tolkien drink? And do we know anything? I don't know anything.
I think he drank ale.
Beer.
Yeah, I think he drank beer, as far as I'm aware, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. I mean, he went to that pub with C.S. Lewis that we went to together. And we posed outside for pictures because it was closed. But
by the way, I'm very sorry about my weird quality today with the camera. We're going on, and I think my internet is like third world country internet. Sorry for that.
Your internet just lagged, just as you were saying, right on cue. But yeah, no worries. We'll make do. It's good to have you anyway.
Sorry.
He drank ale with the Inklings, Jamie is saying. Yeah, that's what I understood as well. I think he was a beer man. Not a heavy drinker, but he did drink regularly with his literary society, with the Inklings group. So I wanted to make a few channel announcements, this is an opportunity to do that. I first of all, Kelly's asking me to show off my new office, there's not much to show off because it's a big empty white room at the moment. But I'm just going to go into this mode just quickly and just, yay! I've got an office for myself. It's a private office. I've got my poster of Gandalf there behind me. I'm going to be decking it out with all kinds of props and things and filming in this room. So I plan to be doing lore videos where I'm speaking to a teleprompter camera sort of as the year goes on. So that's something to look forward to in the future. It's very nerve-wracking because I've never done anything like that before, but I'm certainly looking forward to it. So that's what the office is for, and gives me some peace and quiet to be able to create away from hectic home life. And this is going to be a big year for the Tolkien fandom, basically. We all know why. There's things on the horizon, and I primarily just want to make a go of trying to do this full time, basically. But yeah, so you can expect more content coming. I want to try and work out a weekly schedule, and I'm going to be doing live streams about once every couple of weeks, I think. So probably on Mondays for now, because I kind of like the idea of doing Mondays for some reason. It gives me something to look forward to on a Monday. And I don't think any other big channels really do regular live streams on Mondays. So
Nope.
So we'll see how
we'll
see how popular it is. I'm going to do it every 2 weeks, and if it's popular, I'll start doing it weekly. Sorry, I'll cut you off.
No, sorry. I have to shut down my internet, and we'll be back. Maybe it's better then because you're cutting off. I'm so sorry, people. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. All right. We'll see you soon. If there's any moderators in the chat, could they please ban this person? Thanks. Yeah, Helen will be back in just a moment. Matthew is asking, what do I mean? What is coming up? Well, we're going to be talking about that in just a moment. We're going to be talking about the latest rumors about Lord of the Rings on Prime to start with. I'm hoping there'll be some lore questions, so if you guys can chime in with anything, then we'll address any questions you might have about Tolkien lore or anything else. But we're going to be talking about the latest rumors about Lord of the Rings on Prime in a moment, which there's always, when these rumors come out, there's a variety of opinions that show up, and we'll see what Helen thinks about it. I am intrigued by the direction that they seem to be going in, and I'm slightly worried about some elements of it, but we'll get into that in a moment. Plixiplox I love that name, by the way. Plixiplox. Is Patreon the only way we can support you two other than liking, subscribing, and commenting? Liking, subscribing, and commenting is extremely appreciated and very important for growing the channel. So please make sure you do like and subscribe. And I know you're subscribed, recognize the name, been a long time viewer. But yeah, liking, commenting is particularly important, all for the algorithm. So please do that. Patreon is, I started a Patreon several months back, but I kept it private for a long time. So a lot of the people who signed up initially for my Patreon were just friends, people that supported the channel early on and became my friends, or people who were friends before I started the channel even. Helen doesn't have a Patreon and tells us that she never will. So yes, Kelly, I am on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well. Don't really do a whole lot on Instagram because I don't really know what to do with it. Kelly runs my Facebook for me, and she's very responsive on there. So go and chat to her on there. And I'm always on Twitter. So follow me on all those platforms. Hi, Amy. Hang on, there was a comment here I wanted to highlight. Laura, is Dior a man? Beren and Luthien were both mortal when he was born. Dior is a half-elven, technically, so he's not a man or an elf. He's a half-elf. I think he lived as an elf and died as one. So he effectively. This was before the half-elven were given the choice to live as a mortal or an immortal. So he kind of preempted that whole event in Middle-earth history. So he kind of was a half-elf before a half-elf was a thing, in a way. But certainly he was immortal, so I would call him an elf, yeah. Good question, though. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I need Helen to come back. Oh, damn. GG Quillen from South Haven, Mississippi. Nice to see you. Forrest, nice to see you. Thank you. Yeah, the poster is new for the office. I bought it the other day from YouTube ad revenue. And yeah, I this is a classic poster. It's Jimmy Corty. So I think it's from the 70s, I want to say. I had a paper version of it as a kid in my bedroom when I was a teenager. So I decided to buy a nice copy of it for my office. I'm going to have some other bits and pieces on the walls in the coming weeks and make this place a real kind of little shrine to Middle Earth. But it's all one step at a time. Erin, how was my holiday? Yeah, it was good. It was relaxing. Yeah, I had a good time with family. Didn't really do a whole lot for New Year's. I'm kind of not a big one for New Year's. So, Timbo, cheers to Tolkien, Dan. Although I am roasting with a green smoothie, a little too much food and drink and merriment over the last few weeks. Good to see you. If you don't know Timbo Took, guys, make sure you subscribe to him. He's a good friend of mine. He's been on the channel before. He's a painter and he likes to teach to paint. He's a kind of the Bob Ross of Middle Earth. So check him out if you haven't seen him before. Helen's back. You left me. Speak.
Okay, yes, no, it should work now. Is it better?
You sound good at the moment. Yeah, it looks clear as well.
Okay, good.
Thanks for coming back. I thought you were going to leave me just hanging.
No, I would never. Sorry.
Yeah, Timbo was just in the chat, so I was just bigging him up. The Bob Ross of Middle Earth, says Amy. Yep. Yeah,
We
good
love
friend of
Timbo
ours.
Took. Although what we don't like is he sometimes sends in our chat, he sends gigantic spiders from Florida. So no, stop doing that. That's creepy and scary, and I'll never go to Florida again. I thought that's Australia. Why are there gigantic spiders? This is literally Shelob country, apparently.
Yeah, I think Australia is worse. Australia scares me. I don't think I'd ever go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it is basically like the pass of Kirafungo, isn't it?
It is, yes.
or like Mirkwood, Southern Mirkwood.
Yeah, it's just the werewolves missing, but they'll show up. Give the apocalypse some time, people. 2022, year of the werewolf.
So we have a lore question from Guilty Undertaker. Thanks for coming through. Was the fact that Luthien was half Maya make her special even among elves? What about her descendants? Yes, very much so, I would say, yeah. I think it's the explanation for her wacky powers of putting people to sleep and she has that thing where she escapes from the treehouse prison as well, which she puts a spell on her hair and climbs down, which that's not a thing among elves. They don't have that kind of magical power, generally speaking. And yeah, she's definitely a very, very special elf because of her parentage. And yes. even, you know, if you go down through the lines of kings, that people have done like kind of like ancestry.com DNA breakdowns of how much percentage of Maya all the different kings have got when you get further down. So even when you get down to, you know, Aragorn and so on, they have a tiny bit of Maya DNA, if you want to put it in that scientific way, which is not very Tolkien of me, but
Yeah, no, true. And the thing is, you know, it is very rare, because why would you think that, you know, like an angelic being would, yes, you know, like elves are immortal, so that could work, right? But that an angelic being decides, you know, to stay with an elf and have a family and children. And that is a very weird choice, and the way they've fallen in love, you know, it wasn't supposed to be, and that goes down their line, right? Like things and love and relationships that weren't supposed to be, but still work out in a way. Although, you know, like nobody ever listens to Melian. Can people please start listening to Melian? Yeah. Oh my
there's
God, the
a
meth gator. I started something in this chat because apparently
of
there
course
are
he is.
meth gators in Florida. This is a big thing now. I want to know what a meth gator is.
I think I can guess what a meth gator is. I mean, it's self-explanatory. I don't want to think about it though. Really, it just, can you imagine an alligator just hopped up on amphetamines, just a hyperactive alligator? My
So
goodness.
what do all the people, you know, in these boats like that go over the swamps or however it's called in Florida, what do they do if they're now on meth, these
This stream
things?
has already gone in a strange direction.
Yeah, but I want to know. I mean, I'm learning something new now. Anyway.
Timbo is one of those people. When we recorded together, he was telling me about his activities in Florida and about how he was going hunting for pythons in Florida
Like, what the F? Like, this is a complete different world. I live in effing Germany and you live in England. Like, people hunting pythons?
We've got some German going on in the chat as well.
Yeah, Mark, I was wondering, Mark Schießer. So, are you related to the brand? Are you the heir to the brand? I think I've got some, you know, this is like undergarments, underwear.
Oh,
Very
okay.
famous in Germany.
Well, we'll find out in a moment. I wanted to talk about some of the recent news about Lord of the Rings on Prime with you because I told you before we started. I want to go through the very latest rumors from Fellowship of Fans, and so I'm just going to share my screen so we can talk about that. So we've got here an actress who we've known is in the cast for some time, but they think that they have uncovered her role, which is Kareen, which is not an elvish name of any kind that we can tell, so it's a bit of a peculiar name, but which is Isildur's sister, which is an Amazon original character in the upcoming Lord of the Rings TV show. So what do we think about that? Because there's no sister in the lore. There's the two brothers, there's Isildur and Anarion. There's no sister in the lore that we know of, so this is a completely invented character. I've seen on social media, I've seen people have a problem with this because it's not in the lore, but I think you have to allow for the fact that the genealogies, you know, the lineages that Tolkien came up with had very, very few women in them.
Yeah.
And the ones that were in there were the ones that were important to history. Because that's how, historically, how lineages were recorded, because we lived in a patriarchal world that, you know, only cared about the men. In a sense, and Tolkien followed that convention. And it's not to say that Tolkien was being sexist for doing that, but it was just, you know, it's a medievalist perspective on how family lines are recorded. And so that's the reason why there aren't very many, you know, women that are recorded in the lore that aren't important characters. So Isildur may have had a sister. There's nothing to say that he couldn't have. We have very little information about the whole Second Age in general, so I think there's room for that. I'm in favour of inventing characters, and I think that's an area where you could argue that there could be a character that you could justify there.
I just don't understand, like, the plot she would be like. Why does he need a sister? I don't get that. But I'm fine. As you said, they're very often, if you look in the annals, there's very often unnamed daughters, even singular or plural.
Yeah, and
Sometimes.
Tolkien went back and invented female characters later on because he realized
Yeah.
this. He realized that there was a shortage
Yeah.
when he went back and looked at it after the Lord of the Rings and was trying to revise the Silmarillion. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problems with inventing a new female character in that sort of role. But yeah, we'll have to see whether the story justifies it and what they do with it, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't. That's the thing. I seriously don't get. Like, what is she doing? What would the point be to have her? Where is that, like a love thingy? Is she falling in love? I don't know, with somebody of the king's man. Or I have no idea. I've literally no idea, to be fair. But yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know anything. Although Fellowship does have some rumors and some supposed exclusives here in his tweets. So there's a thread which I'm going to work my way down. Isildur will voluntarily join the Numenor army, setting sail for Middle Earth. So presumably this is the war where Sauron is captured and then brought back to Numenor, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. So it'll be very young Isildur at this point. Mm-hmm. Isildur has 3 friends, Nolion, Valandil, and Ontamo, which are Elvish names, being played by, in no particular order, Anthony Crum, Alex Tarrant, and one other. No idea who any of these actors are. All 3 of Isildur's friends volunteer to join the army with him, and this scene is known as the I Will Serve scene. So it looks like we're going to get some kind of medieval militaristic drama going on.
But what time frame are we? I don't understand any of this. Like, this is like we have Galadriel coming to Numenor in secret before, way before Ar-Pharazôn is taking over, right? So and you said young Isildur, like, I don't like, what's the purpose of gearing up? I don't understand. There was no war at that time.
Well, Isildur was born when Sauron was captured, right? So
was he born then?
Was he? Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. I'm struggling to remember.
But you mean, but Ar-Pharazôn captured him, and
yes.
Was he a small child then? I mean, I can look it up.
I mean, Elendil was certainly, the father was certainly present for those events.
Yes, well, they are about the same age. So Elendil and Ar-Pharazôn are about the same age, right? But if we're talking about a time where Ar-Pharazôn isn't at the throne, it doesn't have the throne yet. It doesn't. So that's not when he captures Sauron. So what is the purpose for war? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense time-wise for me.
They'll play fast and loose with the timeline and compress things.
Yeah,
is the answer, I think, probably.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too much, because I don't want the Forging of the Rings of Power overlapping with all those events. I want that to be explained in a prologue and then left in the past. Because those are separate events in the Second Age.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, look, my feeling of hearing more and more of these rumors, and again, they're not confirmed, but I think Fellowship has pretty good, like sources and scoops. I'm so confused, and I'm like probably the most positive person ever. But I find this all very strange and a bit concerning, but I mean, I'm waiting till the show comes up. I'm not saying, oh, this will be bad or this will, but I'm just confused. And like, what is this with this meteorite landing?
Yeah, I was just about to say this.
What?
There are a lot of rumors flying out at the moment, and I think, well, I'm hoping that not all of them are true, and there's, as you say, the meteor crashing to Earth thing is just wacky and doesn't fit in Middle Earth at all. So
God, yuck!
It sounds like something from a comic book, and I like comic books, but it's not Middle Earth.
No, yeah. It's literally not Marvel. Maybe people are, confused about this. But anyway, isn't it Sauron coming to Middle-earth? Like, is he riding a comet or what is happening? Like, I don't understand. Anyway, let's
Well,
see.
the rumor is about that is that it's Joseph Mowley's character, and he is one of Galadriel's brothers, who is an invented brother. I think so. It's not one of the named brothers in the lore that we know about from the Silmarillion. It's another one, apparently, and that he will be in charge of a group of orcs, which just none of that makes any sense to me. But
I'm seriously confused. Like, I'm confused.
I do think that not 100% of these rumors are true, because it would just be it would be a mess if they were.
Yeah.
So we'll hope that those ones aren't true.
Yeah. Oh, guilty Undertaker. I'm sorry, but no, it's not happening. He's asking if Galadriel is going to be a character. Do we know if they'll bring back Kate Blanchett? I wish, but no, they're not. They are claiming this is young Galadriel, and it's another actress. But I think she looks pretty decent. I haven't seen any movie of her, just a few clips, but I think she'd be good. Not that Kate couldn't pull it off, but it's a commitment to sign up for a series that would be running for, I don't know, 10 years at least, or
That's what Lenny
whatever.
Henry said in his recent BBC radio interview, that it was going to take 10 years to tell the story,
Yes,
which
and it
Kate
will.
Blanchett will be, late
60.
50s by then, or
Yeah,
60-ish. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I don't think that
And I
would
think
work.
Galadriel will survive. Obviously, she survives. We know that. So her role, will evolve, and she'll always be there in every series, every season. So yeah, I understand that she's not coming back.
Yeah, Morvith Clark. It's a Welsh
Yeah.
actress. She
Yes.
was the character who was in the sort of Siberian prison in His Dark Materials, the HBO BBC adaptation of His Dark Materials. In season 1, she was the character who was kind of psychically lobotomized by the Magisterium in season 1. Do you remember the character I'm talking about? She played her. So that's the one thing I've seen her in the past. Apparently a very good actress. And she certainly looks a lot like Kate Blanchett. So
She does. Yeah. It's fine.
I think she'll be good.
Yeah, I get that why Kate couldn't play the role. So I'm totally fine. I still would have loved, to have Agent Smith playing Elrond, because I think he could pull it off, but because dude hasn't aged, so he is from the Matrix. But anyway, yeah.
So apparently, I'm carrying on with the tweet here. Isildur's sister, Karine, doesn't want Isildur joining the army. There is said to be one emotional scene where she chases Isildur through the Númenórean crowd, yelling, "Isil, Isil, Isildur!"
Oh my god. Anyway, let's
I
ignore
think they're
this.
going for the fan service moment of Agent Smith, as you called him, shouting "Isildur" in the Cracks
Yeah.
of Doom from the movie.
Yeah, well, Picard's flute is my writing a comment thingy was again a thing now in the chat. So Picard's flute is saying writing a comet has just got me imagining a weird version of Doctor Strangelove. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah, I
And
haven't seen that
we
in
Germans are
years. It
not
is,
evil,
yeah,
just in the movies.
the Kubrick movie. Yeah, it's a great movie. I've not seen that in years. I want to watch that movie now.
It's so good. I love it. Is there any hint in the lore that Gandalf and Galadriel have met in Valinor? I'm pretty sure they have, because we don't know that Gandalf before the Third Age has been in Middle-earth. I think that was his first time, right? When he was sent in the Third Age,
Yeah, I think
and
so.
and I really do think they've met in Valinor. Who did he work for? Not Yavanna. Who did he work? Who was his Valar?
The a sort of lore kind of contradicts itself on that point, but Irmo, or aka Lorien, the master of dreams and visions, was one of them that he was connected with in one of the descriptions of the Istari, and also Nienna. He was supposed to be. He supposedly learned a lot from her. Learned a lot about compassion and sympathy and so on.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they've met in Valinor. I'm pretty sure, she was from a royal line. So Finarfin's daughter, I really do think they've met in Valinor. But why are you asking hopefully we won't get Gandalf, because first of all, I don't want another actor playing him, and then I really do not want him to be there. I'm okay with a blue wizard, or make some yellow wizards or whatever. I don't really care. So you have
I
a
want a
counterpart.
pink wizard. I want a pink one.
Bring the pink wizards, now I'm thinking of Tarantino and Mr. Pink and Mr. Brown and oh my god, that's an epic movie as well. Hey, the broken sword. I never know who is behind the broken sword, so whoever, one of you two. Thank you for dropping by.
James and/or Jake, it's nice to see you.
Yeah, whoever it is. You never know who you're talking to. But yeah, I want to see the wizards, as a counterpart to Sauron, because he'll be the only magic user we know of in Middle Earth. And that's boring. So I don't want that. It's James again. Well, so that's boring. I don't want that. So bring some magic power, please, as a counterpart. Otherwise he's
Yes.
way too overpowered in the Second Age, owning the ring, right?
I suspect we'll see some of the high elves wielding quite a lot of magical power in their own way, and maybe we'll see wizards as well. And many people have speculated that the blue wizards will show up.
Yeah, but but in the Second Age, none of the high elves except Galadriel, because Gil-galad doesn't have magic powers, and I hope they don't give him magic powers, because he's not from the Undying Lands. He didn't get taught anything, but he wasn't born in the Undying Lands, so he doesn't have the light of the trees in him, so he doesn't have that, and I don't want anyone like who else. Well, Elrond doesn't have magic. Not really. I mean, he has, and he has the ring at that time, right? So maybe Elrond, but I don't want Círdan. I don't think he has magic powers. So it's just Galadriel, and she learned it from Melian. So who else? And she's not as powerful as Sauron.
Yeah, I was just thinking about when we talked about Melian before. I was thinking about a passage from the new Tolkien book, from The Nature of Middle Earth, where there's a passage where Tolkien is going back and he's trying to rewrite the Silmarillion and so on, and it's buried in all the maths that is in the first part of that book. But there's a section in there where he talks about how the wizards and Melian were present at Cuiviénen, and they played the role of guardians who watched over the elves. So Melian was there much, much earlier in that version. And the blue wizards aren't named, but the other Maya who were there, who were guardians, were clearly Gandalf and Saruman and Radagast. And then there's two others who we assume are the blue wizards. Super interesting, which it kind of shocked me a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
But so there's definitely room for wizards to show up. I think that they will have that happen later on. They'll keep us waiting for that to happen until later on. It'll be a Game of Thrones sort of thing where they gradually introduce more magic into the setting.
I think so too. Exactly. They, it doesn't. I don't think they'll come with a high fantasy things right away. I think they'll slowly introduce us to the world. It will be more, power play of the Numenoreans. I think that's how they introduce us to the world. Just like Tolkien did with the Hobbits. He didn't right away, boom in your face, deathless elves. Immortal elves, but he introduced the hobbits, who are very similar to some of us, not me though.
except in stature, maybe.
Hey, I'm not fat, but I'm short. Yes. I'm not sure if I pronounce the name correct. So let's interact with the chat. Gigi? I just say Gigi. Super cool name, by the way. The only thing I like nearly as well as Tolkien is Dracula. Will you humor us with the video series on the Count, pretty please? I would love to do that. I mean, hello, I was born in Transylvania. I'd love to do that. But I mean, what is that like? The story's been told.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't. And the whole vampirism is not a big. It's in Tolkien, but it's not a big thing. But he introduced us to East European mythology as well, which is cool.
Yeah, I did one video about vampires in Middle Earth a couple of months ago, and that'll be the only time I'll ever cover them because there's just nothing else to say about them. There's kind of a little bit of hints of vampirism going on in parts of the Third Age, and then of course there's Duringwethil, I think it's pronounced, in the First Age.
Yeah, and even Sauron, he also he's a shapeshifter, but he takes on the form of a bat as well. So, you have these. That was in the First Age, though. There's way more shapeshifting going on.
Yeah.
Shorties unite.
If you decide to do vampire content on your channel, then I will watch, I think. So, yeah, I'm sure you've got things to say about vampirism.
Well, I am one, so. Anyway, good. Do we have more questions, people, or do you have anything to talk about? Hello?
Are you able to highlight comments as well? Because I don't know if you have that ability or not. I don't see any other lore questions, so I'm going to proceed with my backup plan that I told you about before we started, which is to go through a BuzzFeed quiz.
Oh my god!
And answer the questions together.
This.
So it's dead easy, Helen. It's nothing to worry about.
Wait, I have my cat here. Do I see this? Wait.
Oh, we have to.
So this is Kiki. I think you've never seen her. She's from Greece. She's, I like Greek mythology content, making this whole thing now about myself. Hey, show my kitty in big. Make her big again.
How do I make just you big? I don't know how to do that.
So this is Kiki, and I rescued her from a super cool place. That's the place near. It's called Capesunio. It's near Athens, and I forgot the king's name, but he drowned himself there. And oh no, it's now just you, big. Anyway, it's a super cool story, and she lived at that temple, and she was run over and hit by a car, and then I rescued her. So don't shop, adopt, and rescue kitties. So she's gone now. She had her love. Sorry, let's go back to Tolkien.
No problem. You were maximized. It was just you. I think it just looked like it was just me for you, but I think everybody else.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry.
Just to clarify. But yeah, should we do this quiz? Because we're going to get all the answers right, obviously, because we're massive nerds. But
oh no.
Question number 1. How many magic rings are there in Middle Earth? 17, 12, or 20?
I don't know.
So I know math isn't your strong point, Helen, but you can add 3 to 7 to 9 to 1, right? I mean,
but this is not correct because
it's not.
There are more than 20, because Tolkien even says, they crafted before Celebrimbor, made the 19. There are they crafted more rings.
Yes, so there were the great rings and the minor rings. So there's a passage at the beginning of chapter 2 of Lord of the Rings where Gandalf talks about the rings, and he says that there were many minor rings that were made during that time. Yeah. That whole period of history was kind of it was like it was a phase that the elves were going through where they were all making rings. It was in vogue at that point, and and so there was more than 20. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I was going to say this. This is why I wanted to do this quiz, because actually half of the questions are really stupid.
Okay, well, yay. So we're outing them. So this is basically to out BuzzFeed and to shame BuzzFeed.
It's BuzzFeed, isn't it? Yeah, they're just they're looking for clicks and advertising revenue. They're not looking to educate people.
Yeah, see, Aaron gets it. I love that this is mostly going to be a conversation about how wrong the quiz is. Yes, people.
How many wizards were sent to Middle Earth? 7, 3, or 5?
Well, this is you now.
Well,
You have to
there's 5, obviously. I mean, maybe there were 7, including the pink wizard and the purple wizard, but there's 5. There's 5 that we know about. And of course, there's Gandalf, Saruman, Radagast. We've all seen them in the movies. And there's the two blue wizards who we were talking about before, who we don't know too much about, but we believe that they went east. And there are reports that they may have established magical cults in the east, and there are also reports that they did good deeds in the east and set Sauron back and countered his plans. So if we do see them at some point in the TV adaptation, we'll have to see what kind of interpretation they go with. But there's very little information on them in the notes, really.
Yeah, and the thing is, and it's when you learn of how Saruman in the end, he obviously he can't die, right? But his spirit would try to get back to the Undying Lands, after the scouring of the Shire, and they killed him, and he wanted to go back to his spirit, wanted to go back to the Undying Lands, but a wind blew from the west and hindered him to go back home, right? And if you now think that the blue wizards effed up in the east and created cults and whatnot, I want to know what happened to them then, right?
I think they effed up. I think that makes more sense, because I mean, look at what's going on in the east by the time we get to the Third Age.
But that's then literally just Gandalf achieving anything, because Radagast was useless. He wasn't evil, but useless. I mean, he had one job to do and he didn't do it. No, I mean, he aided, okay? He aided, but not really. So 3 effed up and Radagast didn't care and smoked whatever.
Long bottom leaf. He got into that secretly.
I
just want to highlight a comment back up here a minute ago from Picard's Flute. Great name, by the way. If I could make this about me for just a second, Star Trek is my number 2 fandom. It's the other thing that I'm really, really nuts about. So if I ever do another fandom on this channel, it may be Star Trek. So I make no promises at this point, but I have kind of promised to myself that I would try and do that one day. So we'll see. But yeah, he's saying, was it Nerd of the Rings who had this great idea of the Barrow Wights being thrall to lesser rings? I don't know. I haven't seen that video of Matt, but it's a good idea. Kind of makes sense. Although it was Third Age that the Barrow Wights became Barrow Wights.
Yes, at the beginning, after...
It was the Witch King of Angmar who created them. So not sure it makes sense time-wise, but I like it thematically.
Yeah, but maybe, he was given some of the rings, when Sauron attacked Eregion and stole all the rings except the elven rings. So maybe, he also took those rings and gave them to the Witch King. And the Witch King had them all along, and he used those rings to create his minions, right? That could be a thing. This sounds very like Shadow of War now, but
it is a little bit sort
of. I mean, hey,
we're going into fan fiction headcanon territory.
Hey, Sauron riding a comet. Hello, that also sounds like fan. That's worse fan fiction, by the way. Mine is better.
Agreed. Although we haven't seen it yet, but it's hard to imagine a meteor crashing to Earth with an elf riding it. And it's hard to imagine that making sense, but let's move on.
Yeah. So, questions.
Yeah, let's carry on with the quiz. I didn't need to answer the question. There we go. Correct. Correct. What is the name of Aragorn's father? So he says it many, many times in the books and the movies. I think we all know this one as well. He's Aragorn, son of the one that it rhymes with. Arathorn, yeah. Arathorn II was the father of Aragorn and the 15th chieftain of the Dunedain. And he was married.
I didn't know the 15th.
I didn't know that either. I don't know any of the other chieftains either. I do know that Arathorn's father was against their marrying. Arathorn was married to Gilrain, was Aragorn's mother, and his father was opposed to the marriage. Can't remember the reason why, but Gilrain's mother was a seer. She had kind of prophetic visions and so on, and so she was in favor of the marriage, and so that was why the marriage happened. And then 1 year later, the father dies, and then 3 years after that, Arathorn dies, and a very young Aragorn becomes the heir to the chieftainhood, if that's a word.
Yeah, there's actually a really cool, I think the name is Born of Hope or something like that. Go look it up. There's a really cool fan film. It's like, I don't know, 10 years old now or something. And it's bad quality and everything, but it's cool. And Elrond's twins, Elrohir and Elro, whatever their names are, I always forget. And it's a really cool film, so maybe somebody can drop it in the chat if you find it. It's on YouTube. It's a fan-made film, and it's exactly about that time. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's an adaptation of that story that I just gave the summary of there. Yeah, I've not watched that since it came out, but yeah. We'll have to post that in the comments or something.
Yeah.
So moving on, what gift does the Lady Galadriel give to Boromir? Do you know this one?
I would say I don't really know. I would say the second.
A horn and a ring. Well,
does she?
He already has a horn and
a golden belt
and he wants a ring. That's the thing that somebody else has that he wants the most.
Yeah.
A golden belt and an elven cloak. Yeah, I mean everybody gets an elven cloak. That's just standard gear for everybody that leaves. So that is the answer. That belt, I think, does show up later on somewhere in the book, but it's not really important. But it is mentioned again at one point. I just can't remember where.
Good night, Forest Flutter. Sleep tight.
Oh, good night, Forest. Yeah, it's late for her, I think. Thanks for coming through.
Just like me.
Yeah. How long had Frodo kept the One Ring hidden? So we know the answer to this, right?
A very long time. 30. I really don't know.
You don't know. It's 17 years. So yeah, this is one of the biggest, I think probably the biggest difference between book and film is that there was a 17-year gap between Bilbo's party and Gandalf showing up on Frodo's doorstep and telling him the story of the One Ring, and that Bilbo's ring is the One Ring.
It looks like a few days in the movies, but the thing is, and Gandalf went away, and that's what I always found so weird. Like, you always assume, but he's a wizard, he should know. No, he had to go to Gondor, to find scripts, because it's not like there's a library anywhere. And he had to find, old writing and scripts to see if this is indeed the ring. But 17 years, well, Helen being revealed as actually clueless. Yeah, well, see, Mathieu, this is all movie questions and Third Age. I don't really do Third Age.
Yeah, if this was a Silmarillion quiz, we'd be done by now, wouldn't we? But what is the name of Lothlorien people? That's terrible English, but no, never mind. What is the name of the people of Lothlorien, I should say? Noldor, Sindarin, or Galadhrim? The last one.
Well,
which
but
means the
they were. I
Trinity.
mean, yeah, but it's interesting because when you, I just did a video on Eregion, and and who were the actual founders? Was it really Galadriel and Celeborn, or was it indeed Celebrimbor? And there are various versions, and there are also various versions when Galadriel went to Lothlorien, if she had a son, if she didn't have like all these things. And so yes, this is the name, but obviously some people who lived there were Cinder people, and those were some of the elves who also went there after the fall of Doriath, after the first age ended. Some of them went there. So again, this quiz is not for like, did some of them really call themselves Galadrim then? Probably, but we don't know.
Yeah, well, that was their name, though. So that is correct. But yeah, it's more complicated than that because the
Yeah.
Galathrim, there is more than one group within that group. It's kind of a multicultural society.
Yeah.
The vast majority of them are Sylvan elves, or
Yeah.
Nandor, as the Silmarillion would call it.
Yeah. But there were Cinder elves as well from Doriath.
Yeah, there was Sindar there, and Galadriel herself was Noldor. We don't know that there were any other Noldor there, but Galadriel herself was. Who is Gildor Inglorion?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
An elf king of the Second Age, an elf met by Frodo in the Shire, or a Númenórean warlord?
Okay.
Do you know this one?
Frodo.
Yes, an elf met by Frodo in the Shire. So this was where in one of the early chapters before they leave the Shire, Frodo,
Yeah.
Sam, and Pippin meets. Unlike the movie, Merry's not there. He doesn't show up until later. But in the book, the three of them encounter elves in the woods, and Gildor is the one who actually saves them from the Black Rider.
Yeah.
He shows up just in the nick of time. And he's a Noldor, so he's a high elf that they meet. And interesting fact about him, I don't know if I've said this to you before. I said it to somebody somewhere recently, months ago, but I don't know. Gildor Inglorion, the name means son of Inglor, the surname. And Inglor was a name of Finrod at one point. So this was a name for Finrod when, he was predominantly known as Felagund, but Inglor was his real name.
Yeah.
So this character was intended to be a son of Finrod when Tolkien first wrote him.
Yeah. But he didn't, as far as we know, he didn't have children. Well,
No.
maybe when he went, like re-embody, back to the Undying Lands.
But when
We don't
Tolkien
know.
wrote this, he never thought that he would ever publish the Silmarillion.
Yeah.
So this was just, it's him reusing names, really. But
Yeah.
That could have ended up being a son of Finrod if Tolkien had decided to go back and change the story. It would have been a pretty radical change to change the Beren and Luthien story to that extent. But maybe he had a son before then. But yeah, interesting little fact. He does say that he's of the house of Finarfin in the book as well, Gildor.
Mm-hmm.
How did Frodo's parents die? They drowned in a boating accident. Gollum strangled them. Or they died after overeating at a feast. This is just silly.
I would love number 3. But apparently, Frodo's father killed his mother. No, this is like fake news, people, but this is, what some hobbits are telling each other in the Shire, that Frodo's father, drowned his mother, which obviously isn't true, but
It was Kelly. That was it. The
Woo!
two of us watched the Fellowship of the Ring together because we did a stream together on John Webster's channel. Something all right?
Yes, I think my well, I'll be back in this. I won't go. Just 1 second.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, Helen will be back shortly. Hang on, she's still there.
Yes, I
You're
just
still
said
there.
don't. Yeah. No, it was just my AirPod falling out and unplugging itself. Sorry,
I
I'm
thought you had to step away for a minute. I thought that's what you were saying, but
no,
okay.
no.
Okay. So yeah, the answer is they drowned in a boating accident, which Tolkien is full of orphans. Haven't you noticed that? I mean, Tolkien
Yeah.
himself was orphaned. His father died when he was very, very young, and his mother
Oh,
died
that's
when he was
yeah.
fairly young still.
Yeah.
And he was raised by a priest. Bilbo and Frodo, hello. Like it's very much
Yeah.
taken from his own life.
Yeah.
And then we've already talked about Aragorn losing his parents when he was young, and
Yeah.
Tolkien is just full of characters that just have dead parents. Um,
Mhm.
it's very, very noticeable theme.
Yeah.
So yeah, full of tragedy. But there we go. We move on. Which battle did Merry and Pippin lead after the War of the Ring?
Bywater.
Battle of Bywater. Another big difference from the films. Just they left out
Yeah,
the scouring
but
of the
I
Shire.
understand. Yeah, but I understand. Like seriously, after all that, after defeating, so if you think movie, right? If you don't think book, if you think movie, it wouldn't like you go back to the Shire and then they fight a stupid tiny war. Yes, it is important for the hobbits and it's important to the story as in the book, right? But nah, that's not. If you would see that in the movie after the epic battle, after defeating Sauron and then going back and nah, that wouldn't make sense and it would be very anticlimactic. So no,
And
I'm
it would be an
glad that
extremely long movie.
yeah.
It's not long enough
Yeah,
already.
yeah, although bring the scouring of the Shire cut.
Mm.
Maybe there is this cut. Is this like the Snyder cut? Who knows?
No, I don't think they filmed it, but
Nah, just kidding.
um, but yeah. Samuel has a good point here, though. He's saying, I've always interpreted it as his mother wanted to save his father, but they both drowned instead of one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those tragic occurrences where, yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Frodo.
No. Okay.
Carry on. Which event led to the destruction of Numenor? Well, I think you know this one.
Yes, I made like a gazillion videos, but it's really hard to read. It's so tiny, and I'm not wearing my glasses.
Shall I zoom in a
Numenorians.
bit? I can do
Huh?
that.
No, it's fine. Oh yes, thank you.
Is that
Yay.
better?
Numenorians were willing to forge a new ring of power. I like that idea. I hope this is not what I hope this is not what they're doing in the show because again, this is like Shadow of War, people. This is not happening. The Menorians tried to sail to the Undying Lands. The Menorians planned to exterminate the Elven. What is the Elven?
Bad
The
English
Elven
again.
race? Or well, I mean, hey, I could have written that. Yeah, I mean, I like 1 and 3. Kind of, this is a new fanfic idea here, people, but no, it's 2.
I mean, 3, there's actually a kernel of truth there because the Numenorians were very jealous of the elves and
Yes.
there was conflict there to speak of, but
Yeah.
that's not the answer. It's this one.
No.
Advised by Sauron, the Numenorian king Ar-Pharazôn tried to make war upon the Valar and to conquer the Undying Land, singular,
Yeah.
to avoid death.
But I really, whenever I read the passage, it's so cool because we have a similar thing in German mythology about a king being buried under a mountain and he will rise again, in time. I mean, you people have the similar thingy with Arthur, right? And Excalibur and all that, But we have a thing with a Kyffhäuser and Barbarossa, and that in time of need, he will, our former emperor. He will rise again in time of need, but he's buried under a mountain. And this is very like how Ar-Pharazôn died is very similar to that, because he was also buried, and we don't know, is he maybe still alive? No, I don't think so, because in the Undying Lands you're not, it doesn't mean you're deathless, you still die. Even Frodo and Bilbo, when they go to the Undying Lands, they will die. It doesn't mean they are still living, right? But this is very so cool, because he reached the shores, right? And he in a way made it, but then he was buried under the mountain falling on top of him, and he's buried in the cave, and it's such a cool image.
The second he steps foot on land, the entire world is changed as well.
Yeah.
Eru does not mess about.
No. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm not answering that question.
What are the Who-ons? Yeah, I know you're not. It's not your favorite topic, is it? Kelly's saying I collected a few chat questions. Yep. Let's post them up in the chat if we can. I'm sure we're missing questions here. I've not been paying close attention to the chat. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not used to being the host. I've done lots of live streams on other people's channels, but I'm not used to paying attention to the chat. It's difficult.
Oh my God, I love Guilty Undertaker saying the Númenórean tried to execute Order 66. Yes. Sorry. I love the Emperor. He's my favorite character. I'm a Palpy stan. So what is the I don't see a question. Is there a question?
Kelly's posting some of the questions. So Plixiplox is saying, so I'm not familiar with a lot of creation myths from around the world, but was Tolkien's The Universe Was Sung into Existence, quotes, unique? Not completely unique. C.S. Lewis's creation myth was very similar from what I remember. I've not read Narnia in a long, long time, but you more acquainted with C.S. Lewis than I am, so perhaps you can describe that. But I know that's kind of similar. Helen, are you listening?
No, I'm judging. People are asking me when I'm burning my tree.
Oh God.
I'll post it on Instagram. I'll dance around the fire. Yeah. Sorry. What?
So the question at the bottom here, Plixiplox.
Yeah, I get it. But does Plixiplox, whatever your name is, I'm sorry. So do you mean like mythology wise, not by an author, but mythology wise? I think that is pretty special. I'm not, I know some obviously Germanic and Greek mythology. I don't remember.
I don't remember any examples in
No.
Little World mythology that are particularly similar. I don't know too much about Eastern mythology, and I wonder whether Shinto mythology has some elements that are kind of similar, but I just have this vague recollection of that.
So for me, this always stood, I don't know if we ever talked about this. For me, this always stood for, he was a Catholic, right? And so in ancient times, right, the people obviously couldn't read the Bible, right, because they couldn't read. So they learned, my mother's an arts professor, and she, the thing is how people learned history and of the Bible. They saw the images painted in the church and the windows and everything. They saw that, and they listened to the songs, to the Gospels, right? And that is how they learned, and how they, because it's not like, father, wrote something down in the book and then gave it, it was passed down the family. No, it was songs, right? So songs for Catholic, for religion, was always very, very important. And for me, that was always the idea behind Tolkien's singing the world into being and into his creation into being. That was the idea for me, how I always understood it, but might be wrong.
Amy's saying here there is a creation myth in China about the phoenix and the dragon singing together to create the world.
Oh, see, cool.
So yeah, there are things like that. I mean, mythology just kind of, it's like a big soup that the world's stories all arose from, and everything's connected. So yeah, Tolkien was probably aware of stuff like this, and he probably was drawing on some of these things in ways. I initially said when you weren't listening before and when you were chatting, I said about C.S. Lewis having similar ideas about singing the world into existence as well.
Yeah. Mathieu, I've been waiting impatiently for this video. Helen dancing around a burning tree, summoning demons. It's happening. It's happening.
So we've got some more questions to get through. I want to try and get through as many as possible. So, Guilty Undertaker, who should play Sauron / Anatar? Well, we did a stream together with Cliff from the OneRing.net where we discussed this question in quite a bit of depth. And so go back and watch that. It was not a live stream. It was just a pre-recorded podcast, but that's on my channel.
We know which actor is playing him. It's not that I know the name, but if you find it on the tweet on Fellowship of Fans Twitter, I think he.
I don't think they have leaked that. I don't think they do know.
No, they did. It's that guy with a beard and the darker look.
Joseph Mowley from Game
of
Thrones.
No. He's too old. No.
Somebody else. Oh, okay. I haven't seen that. I'll have to find out.
Yeah, no. They like Fellowship confirmed in a way that this is apparently Sauron. Not my hot Sauron, but maybe somebody else's.
Also, a little bit of minor Dan and Helen trivia for you. This was actually this question: who should play Sauron? This was the first interaction we ever had. Do you remember?
No, but I'm really not.
This was this was before we knew each other. You were on a stream with Robert from Indeed Geek, and I super chatted this exact question. But yeah, we eventually got to know each other months later. But yeah, anyway.
All my British boys. No, I don't know. Who did I even say? I probably said Jude Law because he's hot.
I think you did. I think exactly who you said.
Yeah.
Actually.
So see, my taste hasn't changed, and
somebody in the chat said Cillian Murphy as well, which I remember. And you like?
Nah, he's too short. He's too short.
Yeah.
No.
So I'm going to get through the rest of these questions. Hang on. Do we know if any Feanorian followers survived into the Second Age? Depends if you want to call him a follower per se or not. But Celebrimbor was Feanor's grandson, so he's a Feanorian in a sense. But he's the only one that we know of, really. The curse kind of did for everybody else, and I think Celebrimbor escaped it by, repudiating the actions of his father.
Yes.
Kelly's got another one here from Jamie
he
Gregg.
Was the only one of the line not being born in the Undying Lands, right? Because all the others we don't know, but they didn't have even offspring. So that is also very cursey if you know Tolkien. That the line dies out, right? That's a bad sign.
Yeah. It's
not just by death, but they just didn't, have offspring.
Yes. Yeah. They were the dispossessed as well, so they were kind of.
I mean, Guilty Undertaker is right. Like Maglor and like the two guys who had the Silmarils, right? Maglor and Medros, yeah. So one. I mean, the one who threw himself into the volcano, dead AF. But the one wandering, like his spirit, I think, is still wandering the shore. So in a way, is he still alive? Yeah, maybe.
Depends how you define alive, I think,
Yeah,
is the answer.
yeah,
Yeah. He would have diminished into nothing and continued to haunt the
yeah,
shores along there for years to come, but I don't think he was really alive at some point.
yeah. Oh my God, Tom Hiddleston. Yes, Tom Hiddleston in everything, please. Like, I'm fine with that.
Any more questions? There's quite a lot coming in now.
Oh yeah, good. I have time. Let me see if I can find something. Wait, I'll be back in a second. I'm listening. I'm listening.
Okay.
I've got it here.
I'm still trying to find the questions. I'm really bad at this.
Yeah, don't worry. So in the meantime, I'm showing off. Do you see that? This is one of the most beautiful, and this is like leather bound. It is. Oh, sorry. It is the dictionary, and this is from Sahol Mill in Birmingham. You know, like Sahol Mill, and Tolkien lived there. And this is so cool. It is the dictionary of Tolkien, and there's like like Fangorn Forest. Obviously, like I'm not looking that up. The Hornberg, and everything is explained like it's like a tiny dictionary, and it's so beautiful with beautiful illustrations. So if anybody wants this book, I think you can order it online from Sahel Mill. And I mean, look at these illustrations. This is so beautiful. And it's leather bound. I think the Puka Man are on here. So this is really, really cool. This is like my treasure. I got this for Christmas. From one of my best friends, and it's really cool.
Mhm. I think I have that one as well. My mum bought that for me out of the blue. She just said, "Oh, you're really obsessed with Tolkien at the moment." So
Yeah.
at the moment, as if like I haven't been for 30 years, but um,
Yeah.
but yeah, wonderful illustrations in the David Day books. He's not the most highly respected scholar out there, but the
No,
illustrations.
no, and it's not about that, but it's nice to, just to have a look at it. The drawings are beautiful, and I mean, look at this. This is so cool. Oh, and Yoyston is in the chat. Hey, Yoyston! Happy New Year!
Oh, Yoyston, good to see you, my friend.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of
Absolutely wonderful young
advertisement.
man.
Yeah,
I'm looking for more questions. I'm scouring the comments.
you're scouring the Shire.
Kelly's got one from Samuel here. How and did Sauron take a physical form in battle after his physical death in Numenor? I actually am planning to make a video on this exact topic, so I don't want to go into too much detail. Well,
Ooh.
it's a slightly different topic, but I've got a video coming up probably next month at some point on whether or not Sauron took the One Ring with him to Numenor, because that's a question that comes up a lot, and I have my opinions on it.
Yeah, but Tolkien said he did I think in a letter he confirmed it. No.
Yeah, but he changed his mind on it. He contradicts himself.
Yeah.
So it's probably one of the only real plot holes that people bring up that I think is
Okay, but
legit.
what's your point? I mean, making a video, you can still do that. But what do you think he had the ring in Numenor or not? Because I think he had it. And the way he drowned doesn't mean the ring was lost, because there are other examples. I think he had it. What do you think?
I I think he could do. Yeah, I think you could make an argument for the idea of him existing in a wraith-like form and still being able to telekinetically wear the ring in a
Yeah,
sense,
yeah.
in a formless but still able to interact with the physical world form, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not like he was thin air. It's just he couldn't change
Yeah.
into his fair form. And again, so it's just, you are a shapeshifter.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, hey, Shane Nolan's in the chat. Hello. And all of a sudden, your god doesn't allow you anymore to be I don't know, an eagle. So yes, you can't be an eagle anymore, but you can be other or you can't have wings anymore, so you can't be a balrog, you can't whatever, but that doesn't mean he can't be anything else. Just certain forms were no longer possible for him because God took that from him, right?
Mhm.
But nah, he could have another form and he could still wear the ring. I don't think he was thin air and couldn't wear a ring, but that's just
Yeah, there
my
was.
opinion.
I think probably there was a transitional form that he existed in
Yeah,
between him, dying and losing his body, and
yeah,
what he became after that, which was the big, tall, dark lord in the armor and whatnot that we
yeah.
see in the movies and so on.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's him, like he chose that form, right? It's not like God only allowed him to have that form. And think about his fights in the first age, right? When he wasn't as powerful, because first of all, there was Morgoth, but he wasn't as powerful. He didn't have the ring yet, whatever. But in the first age, after the fight with Juan, right? For in Tolingauroth, he was hurt, right, because he fought with Huan, and then he changed his form, became a bat, and flew away, right? So there are other examples of that, him losing and not getting killed, but he couldn't get killed in Numenor. It's not like that's not possible, right? It's just the bloody island drowned. And so I really do. I think he had the ring, and he was wearing the ring. Yeah.
Hi, Pada. Pada plays in my D&D group. It's nice to see you, man. Helen, I notice you have a corpse of an ent in your home. Seems right.
I want to confirm this is not a real. It looks beautiful, but this is not a real tree.
So it's a synthetic ent.
Yes, I don't want anything living in my house because it would die, except my cats.
Just the undead and the cats in
Yes.
your house. Okay.
Yes.
Do we have any more questions to go around,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
should we?
yeah. There were questions. Book Frodo or movie Frodo?
That's a good question. Book Frodo or movie Frodo? Book Frodo for me. I'll tell you why. I think movie Frodo is. First of all, I really, really like Elijah Wood as Frodo. I think it's a great performance. He's a different Frodo to the Frodo in my head, but I think he played the part that was written for him perfectly. If that makes sense. I think that they eliminated some of the kind of more heroic elements of Frodo's story and some of his resistance and some of his more powerful moments from some of the things that they cut in the movies. So Book Frodo just edges it for me. But I like both a lot. I'm not, dissing the movies in any sense.
Yeah.
Not being a book snob, I just do prefer Book Frodo.
Yeah, I don't like any form of Frodo. I think he's evil, but anyway. Um, but actually, on my okay, wait. Do. Hi, Helen. On your last podcast, I don't think that was my last podcast, but yeah, there was a podcast about Aldarion and Erendis with Red Book, I think. And you said at first you felt sorry for Erendis, but towards the end you disliked her. But actually, on my reading, I felt sorry for her. Throughout, she was practically abandoned by Aldurin, and as he went to Middle Earth for not a few months. But okay, yeah, okay, I get the point. Geek Alive, cool name by the way. Okay, so this is very speaking from a woman's perspective, right? Having dated men. So she knew what she was getting herself into. And I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for her in a way because yes, she really was in love with him, right? But this is a tragic love story, and this shows, the downfall of the house of the Numenorians, and this is here, here all evil, not evil, but it goes downhill from here because their only child was a daughter. She resented men, blah 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 blah. and that was all the mother, by the way. That was also all her fault. Whenever like parents split up, it shouldn't be the father or the mother talking bad about the other parent in front of their child, but that's what she did. So that was really shitty. And she knew what she was getting herself into. Aldarion has always been this person. And the only tragic thing I find, because at the end of his life, he realizes his actually happiest time was when he was with her in Numenor. And that's the sad part of it, because you always think, oh, he's the happiest when he's at sea, exploring, found like bringing wealth back to Numenor, aiding the elves, talking to his father, telling them, Gilgalad, he needs our help, blah, blah. So he did good things, and you think that was his purpose, and he was happiest then. But at the end of his life, he realizes he wasn't. So that's a tragic story of Aldarion and Erendis. But I don't feel. I mean, I do feel sorry for her in a way, but nah. Talking from a woman's perspective, she knew what she was getting herself into.
You can
And you
empathise
shouldn't
because
complain.
she's not an evil, dastardly, wicked
No.
woman. You can empathise with her fate, and certainly it's very sad how she
Yeah. She
but
kills herself, which is very seldom in
yeah,
there are just 3 people in Tolkien's mythology who kill themselves.
Yeah, and Turin was another one. So
And his sister wife.
She's not in great company there, really. But yes, it's a very classic sort of setup for a tragic love story where one or kind of both of them want to change the other person, and they realize that they can't. Too late that they realize that that can't work. Really.
Yeah.
It's a mistake that we've all made, but yeah.
No. And so it's mainly tragic, for both, but she should have known better. That's like my takeaway. And then she really effed up the child, and that's not okay in my book. But
Yeah.
There are more questions.
There's a question here that I want to address quickly. It's just a quick one. Matthew says, in the Fall of Gondolin, there is a mention of a Legolas Greenleaf. Is our Legolas named after him, or did Tolkien change his mind on Legolas's backstory or something else? So I think it's just a case of a recycled name. Personally, is my answer to that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And he didn't know at that time, when he wrote The Lord of the Rings, that the Silmarillion would ever truly get published. So he was like, that's a cool name, and it fits to the Mirkwood elves. So because they were mainly from the house of the Teleri, right, and they loved nature and whatnot, so it's a cool and fitting name.
He would have changed the name if he'd have ever gotten around to finishing the story of the Fall of Gondolin. They started rewriting, that version that we get in the beginning of Unfinished Tales. If he'd have finished that, speaking of tragic stories, then we would have gotten a different version of that, which wouldn't have had Legolas as a name.
Yeah. Shane Nolan, it's Brandy. I love that song, and it's from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
I don't know where that came from. You're picking up the thread of a conversation that I'm not part of.
Yeah. Shane Nolan just confirmed. Yeah, Brandy. I love that song.
Is this a question? No, it's not. Yeah, I don't know if we're out of questions. There's definitely some that we've missed. I'm going to have to probably structure this differently in the future. Yeah.
Was Eol strictly a villain, or did he have redeeming qualities? I mean, what? Like, what is this question even?
What redeeming qualities do you think he had? What would you suggest there?
Maybe that he liked dwarves, but then I don't like dwarves, so no. No, he didn't have any. And I love that we have these kind of elves, right, in Tolkien's mythology. And I mean, you could for his son, you could argue that he didn't start off evil. I mean, we don't know that he all started off
No,
evil.
it was child abuse, wasn't it? I mean, Michaelin story is another tragedy. It's he is the result of abuse at the hands of his father. You could
Yes,
argue
but
whether it's nature or nurture, but I think there's definitely some nurture to blame for how he
yes,
turned out.
but again, you always, can't, you're the smith of your own fate, is sorry, German saying, which I'm just translating. But it is really, he could have done differently. He had a really nurturing stepfather in Turgon, then in the King of Gundolin, and
Mm.
his mother was there, the sister to the king, and he could have,
He
he could have.
he had an opportunity to turn it around. You're right. Yeah.
Yes, but he didn't.
But as for Ale, I don't see too many redeeming qualities in him. I would say that maybe he has a point about the Noldor. I said this in my coverage in the Silmarillion series. He has a point in terms of the Noldor do come back. They do stir up trouble. Morgoth would have, still been the evil Dark Lord without the Noldor doing what they did.
Yeah.
But they do make things worse, and they do end up taking over and annexing all the northern territory in the north of Beleriand, which was Sindar land originally. So there's a
But
legitimate
it was
grief.
unguarded. No, I would disagree. But I'm an older stan. But anyway, it's not like they didn't do
No,
what the Rohirrim did. With the Dunlendings and stuff like that. No, it wasn't that. That those
no, but you
specific,
can make the
and
argument
partly
that
Maglor. Wait, and Maglor didn't the I think the second house of the Edain Haldir. No, who's Meglor lived, or one of the bloody, or Caranthea, I don't remember. One of the brothers lived, with men, and the men, they ate it like they worked together, they lived together. I don't think it was a no. I wouldn't agree. I don't think Eowyn was right there, and I don't think they made it worse because Morgoth would have corrupted Middle-earth. He spread all his malice, all his evil into the lands, into the world.
yeah,
And without the Noldor fighting him, occupying, and the Noldor is not just Fëanor and his brood, the Noldor is also Fingolfin, right? And and Finarfin's kids. So they're also good Noldor, and they fought him, they besieged Angband, there was peace for 400 years, and longer, and I don't agree.
no, I'm sort of playing devil's advocate. I'm trying to find redeeming qualities in Ale. It's not going very well.
There's
So.
none, and it's good, it's fine. There can be an evil elf. I like that idea. It's the same with, if you would just have the angelic spirits, just good ones, like that's boring. You need a Melkor for a
So
good.
his redeeming quality is that he's entertaining. It's like a
Yes,
bad boy thing going on there, I
yes.
suppose. So we've got a question here. What do you?
Petta's leaving. Have to leave. Have a D&D game. I will kill an end for you, Helen. You're my man.
See you, Pata. What do you think happened to Amandil? I believe he got to Valinor, but did he live there
Yes.
forever or die shortly after? I believe he died shortly after, as mortals cannot abide in the presence of eternal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably agree with you, man.
Yeah.
I think it's in the name. He's the friend of Aman. So when he got there, he would have probably been welcomed, but he wouldn't have lived there eternally because we have no reason to believe that he would have, and everything that we know about Aman
Yeah.
leads us to believe that he would have lived a blissful but relatively short existence there.
Mm-hmm.
We've already gone a little bit longer than I had intended to, and it's late for you, so I think maybe we'll wrap this up. Do you think? We could also finish the BuzzFeed quiz, but I don't think we want to.
I'm fine with anything,
Should we do
I'm
one more
okay.
question on BuzzFeed actually before we leave?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then we'll wrap up. What are the Huorns?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
A people from the south of Middle Earth, a mountain chain, or trees that can speak to Ents and move. So for those who don't know, Helen is well known for disliking the dwarves, but you also intensely dislike the Ents. And some people in the stream are referencing that as a stream that we were on together last year, which shocked everybody when you said that you wanted to burn them all down. So the answer is trees that can speak to Ents and move. The Huorns.
Yeah.
That's that forest that in the movie just shows up in at the end of the Battle of Helm's Deep. Those are the Huorns, but they never name them or explain them in the movie. But that's what those are.
Come on, let's finish the bloody quiz now. Okay, so trees that speak, yuck. Anyway, burn them.
Yeah, I wonder whether the trees in the old forest are also Huorns. You know, they never say that, but they seem to act in a very similar way. But yeah, who knows? What is the other name of the Azanol-Bizarre's battle? That should be the Battle of Azanol-Bizarre, but again, bad English. The Battle of Five Armies, the Battle of Mina Ithil, or the Battle of Moria? The Battle of
Wait,
Moria.
what was the question? I don't see, you're so fast. What is the name of Azanol-Bizarre battle? Okay.
The other name of the Battle of Azanol-Bizarre. Azanol-Bizarre is the Dimril Dale, which is the valley on the eastern side of Moria, where they come out, where the Fellowship come out. And that was the battle when the sort of before the Hobbit, the events of the Hobbit, basically, where Thorin got his name of Thorin Oakenshield when he picked up the log.
Yeah.
How did dwarves come into the world?
Aule.
They were made by the Valar Aule. That's true.
What were the other ones? They went out the heart of the mountains. Okay, I mean, they sailed from the island valley. No.
Yeah, this quiz is just, I don't have the words. I don't have the politically correct words for, describing how stupid this quiz is. Oh my goodness. The Red Book's in the chat. I'm just going to highlight his comment if I can.
Valar, stupid BuzzFeed. Yep.
Hi, Stephen. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming through.
Oh my God, Stephen had a super fun. I'm spilling some Twitter gossip here. Stephen had a really fun interaction, and a few of us with somebody from the Tolkien Society, about a picture being posted. And I do think, we're all, like, we're not all, but some of us are content creators. And sometimes it is hard, to find, because there are literally 8 million versions of one image online, and you can't always credit the artist. We try, I think most of us try, and it's not like being, like, us not wanting. We love literally these artists. I'm so thankful for these artists, and I can't wait, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years when more and more artists will come on and maybe cover the show and whatnot. Reminding me why I hate Twitter. And it's really not that. And I think all of us on our channels, on our social media, on Instagram, everywhere, all of us love the artists and praise literally these people who most of them do it for free, right? And that was a bit painful. Shout out to Melonheads. Like, I love the guys. They're really cool. They have a fun Lord of the Ring related podcast. Really nice Irish guys. Dave and I always, I'm bad with names.
Johnny.
But they're just super nice guys, and somebody from the, not naming him now, from the Tolkien Society, and this happened before, Tolkien Society living in their ivory tower, coming after them for posting an image. And anyway, so thank you so much, Redbook, for stepping up.
Yeah, we don't need to dwell on that one, I don't think, but let's move on. Who was the first owner of the Vilja ring? So there's a picture of Elrond here. So is it Elrond, or is it Gil-galad, or is it Legolas?
So like Legolas didn't have, I mean, probably, Legolas might have had some bling. His father had some. No, it's Elrond.
Well, the first owner was Gil-galad, right?
Yeah.
It's asking who was the first owner.
Yeah, he had two. Yeah.
That was the Ring of Air, which I think we've said this before somewhere on a podcast on your channel or mine. I think mine about the rings of the Elven rings and how there's the Ring of Air, the Ring of Fire, and the Ring of Water, and how they
Yeah, and
kind of thematically
the
fit the people
Emeralds.
who wear them in a way.
Yeah.
Gandalf is the wielder of the secret fire. He's the Maya, and so on. It kind of it kind of fits him. And fire is, you think about that being an inspiring element, and he's there to inspire the peoples of Middle Earth to rise up against Sauron. Elrond wearing the Ring of Air kind of fits because his dad is flying around in the air on a flying spaceship.
Vingulot.
Vingulot. And the Ring of Water going to Galadriel sort of makes sense thematically because she's, the
She
wood
needs
elf.
water for her trees. Yeah, for the melons.
And she has that fountain that she fills her mirror with, and so on. So, and she has the file that she gives to Frodo. So water is kind of her element in a sense. But then
she's part Teleri, so she loves water, right? And the sound of water.
But those also mirror the story of the three Silmarils, because the three Silmarils one of them ends up going into a volcano with Maedhros, as we talked about earlier on, and one of them's up there in the sky with Eärendil, and the other one ends up in the water. So yeah, it's fun. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Gil-galad. Yeah, there we go. Who helped Saruman conquer the Shire? Eleanor Gardner, Lotho Sackville Baggins, or Grima Wormtongue?
Well, I mean, Grima did help. Well, he was with him.
He was there, but he was kind of a slave, wasn't he? You could argue Lotho and Grima, they're both involved. I think the answer is Lotho because he's in charge before Saruman shows up. And he's kind of his agent in the Shire during the War of the Ring.
Yeah.
So yeah, this quiz just moves on so quickly. I think it's because I'm zoomed in. Yeah. Lotho traded pipeweed to Isengard for money, so on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who has founded the kingdom of Arnor? Is Elendil? What happened to the body of Celebrimbor? Oh, this is a fun piece of lore. What happened to the body of Celebrimbor?
That's where my Dracula story comes in. That's exactly.
You told us.
Many medieval, like in medieval times, that was a pretty common thing to do that, to spike, to spike your enemy or to put your enemies on a spike. Is this late? My English is gone. Yeah, so it's very but Vlad Tepes did that with the Turks. So that is actually really cool. Not cool for the Turks, but
I'm enjoying these comments while you're talking. The Guilty Undertaker is saying, so Lotho was a drug lord? and Stephen's come, Lotho is actually Sindarin for junkie.
Yeah.
What happened to the body of Celebrimbor? It was used by Sauron as a banner. So yeah, he mounted him on a spike and took him into battle against Elrond.
And what I didn't know, I just found that out when I did write my video on Eregion. I found out that Sauron literally banned the whole fields and the woods and everything, and then nobody ever again inhabited the lands after that. So that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. I knew, he sacked Ostinethil, but isn't that even ruins left of? I mean, I've never read of it then in the Third Age.
Well, the Fellowship travel through that region, but it's not obvious from the text. No. It's an appendices thing. Which hobbit did help Éowyn to kill the Witch King of Angmar? Merry, Sam, or Pippin? We all know this one, don't we?
It was spoiler. it was Sam all along. No.
Who cursed the dead men of Dunharrow? This was something in the movie that they kind of fudged in the lore, actually,
Mm-hmm.
in the Return of the King movie, because I think Legolas says he gives us the exposition as they're coming into the paths of the dead, as they're going through the path into Dunharrow.
Yeah.
Legolas says that it was the last king of Gondor, but
Oh,
Isildur wasn't the last king of
no.
Gondor. That was someone else.
No. Yeah.
So yeah, it was Isildur that
Yeah.
cursed him. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who is Arwen's mother? Celebrian,
Brian.
who was Galadriel's daughter.
Ooh. So
Congratulations, you got 20 out of 20 correct.
what are you now? Are you a law master like Elrond or?
Yeah, I'm going to print this out. I'm going to put it on my wall in my office here, and I'm now qualified to be a Tolkien YouTuber.
So this is the day. This is the day, that you finished the BuzzFeed Lord of the Ring quiz. Like, mark it in your calendar.
Yeah, so we got through it. There we go. We finished it. But yeah, yeah. So this was fun. This is my very first live stream. I had a good time. Had a blast. Thank you for coming through, Helen. Before we sign off, I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell us what you're working on your channel, what you've got coming up, and what's going on with you at the Clueless Fangirl.
Yeah. So I took a tiny break. I had like somebody in my close family died, and there were the holidays and lots of family, and we were home in Bavaria, my whole family, and yeah. So I took a tiny break. I wanted to do more videos, but then I was busy with life and everything. But I'm back now. And yeah, so lots more videos coming, and what is super fun, and I really enjoy that, I'm covering I'm a big Boba Fett or Star Wars fan, and I'm covering the book of Boba Fett, and I really enjoy that. I loved the first episode. I think it was really good, and I'm covering that every Wednesday. I talk with Mia, who's also, she has a podcast. She's super cool. Dan knows her a little bit. She's my editor. She does my videos. And
I don't really know her. We had one interaction once, but I should probably tell you about that off camera.
Yeah. And so yeah, so I enjoy that. I'll definitely cover, and we just got the news that apparently first quarter of the year, or April-ish latest, we will get the Obi-Wan show. And like, yes, I always say I love the Emperor, but obviously Obi is my favorite character next to Qui-Gon and the Emperor. And so Obi will also drop. So I'll cover Boba Fett every Wednesday, and that will be 6 episodes, so 5 more to go. So that will bring us to mid-February-ish. And then I think in March, Obi-Wan will drop, and I'll also cover that. But more little videos of Lord of the Rings on my channel.
I love all those memes about it seems to be a recent thing. All those memes about how was Padme ever so in love with Anakin when Obi-Wan existed? I don't. People say I don't get it. Like, look, he's right there. He's single.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
age
but he was
appropriate
in
as
love.
well.
No, but he was in love with Duchess Satine, who passed away. So, and he just gave his heart once, and it wasn't meant to be, and she died at Maul's hand. So yeah, that very tragic, but no, I'm so excited, and I love Ewan McGregor. He is Star Wars. He made the prequels for me, because I didn't like the prequels when they came out. I wasn't ready for them, but I was I was very young then. But now I love the prequels, and yeah, Ewan McGregor is so good, and I love that we get more, because Clone Wars isn't for everyone. Not everybody loves an animated a series, and it's so cool we get a deeper dive into his story.
We watched the prequels together recently, didn't we? And we watched parts of them in German, which was kind of fun.
Oh my God, yeah. So Gemma, Dan, and I were in Amsterdam, and a few weeks ago, and it was this is what we always do. Like, I've binged the Lord of the Ring movies with Kyle and Robert and Gemma the last time, and now always on my holidays, I binge watch. Oh no, and we tried when I was in London. We tried to binge Lord of the Ring as well, but I fell asleep. It was very late. But yeah, we did Star Wars, and Dan confirmed Darth Vader sounds way better in German and scarier than he does in English. Come on, confirm it. I love Earl Jones, right? Like I love him. I love the actor, but come on.
Yeah, it's terrifying in German. Absolutely terrifying.
And
yeah,
imagine
there's
seeing
no
that
words.
as a kid. Yeah, and imagine seeing me as a tiny child, my father introducing me to this world. I see this movie. I see this evil, dark man in a suit, in a robotic suit, speaking, these words, and in German. It's, shocking. But I love it.
Shane's saying Vader is father in Dutch. It's very similar in German as well.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Shane, are you Dutch?
I think he's Irish.
Yeah.
That's what I thought anyway.
Yeah. Doesn't sound very Dutch.
But yeah, that's all from us for tonight. I'm gonna let you all go soon. I just want to say quickly, I'll have a video later on this week on I may have teased this already, I'm not sure, on the actions of the Valar during the War of the Ring. So what were they doing? Were they, playing blackjack, or what were they up to? Because they seem to be absent from the story. They're mentioned a bunch of times, one of them in particular, but we don't really hear about them doing anything. They're in the Rings of Power and the Third Age in the Silmarillion, we're not really told about them doing much. But there are hints that they might be pulling the strings in the background. So it's quite a lengthy video essay that will be coming out later this week, which I'm halfway through editing. So look forward to that at some point. Hopefully Wednesday, but we'll see. And from now on, I'm aiming for weekly uploads. So I'm working on this full time, full steam. I'm looking at trying to find an editor for the channel, so we'll see about that. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming through. This is a blast, and we'll see you hopefully in a couple of weeks. Well, I'll see you. I'll probably have another guest in 2 weeks' time.
Wait, what?
You don't want to be a regular? I mean, you can be a regular if you want, but I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No.
Yeah.
I know, Shane, I know who Werner Herzog is. I love him, and he worked with Kinski, so he's one of my heroes. And the crew people in the rainforest wanted to kill for him. So anyway, it's a cool story. But yeah, Werner Herzog.
Yeah, he's a G. All right, we're gone. We'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.